friends, welcome back to the Caffeinated Classroom. If this is your first time here, my name is Marie. I'm a high school English teacher in San Diego, California. And it is that time of year again where we need to start thinking about the first day of school, if you're not already there. I have done a really good job this summer of just distancing myself, not completely shutting down my teacher brain because that's impossible for me, but it is the end of July, like the 28th today, and I have not sat down and lesson planned at all. And it's not that like I look down on that, and like I am definitely that teacher who loves to have my hand in the creativity and the like really energizing parts for me of teaching throughout the entire year. I like to do that stuff, but I needed a break because I'm about to go into the 2021-2022 school year, and I needed some time and some distance away from really thinking about the minutia of the day-to-day of being in the classroom, because last year was very, very hard. And now I am actually ready and I'm excited, and I've come up with a little plan of what I'm gonna be doing on the first day of school in my classes, and I'm gonna talk you through it. And yeah, this isn't gonna be a super formal, super long video. I'm still in my pajamas, truth be told. And I just wanna share, and hopefully this either helps you if you are already like in that mode, or if you're like, oh no, I need to get in that mode, right? And maybe it'll debunk and kind of take away some of the stress and anxiety that comes with getting ready for the beginning of the year, especially, if I could talk, especially getting ready for the beginning of this year. So let's get started. Okay, first day of school. I have a blog post that I wrote, 2018, that is all about the first day stations that I had put together when I was coming back into the high school classroom. I had been away from high school for a couple of years. I had been away from the English language arts classroom for 6-7 years. And it was time for me to kind of like start things anew. So I wrote these stations that I did. I will link that blog post down below in the description, so that you can take a little look at what I'm talking about and maybe even steal some ideas from that one. Spoiler alert, this year I'm gonna be doing stations again in my classroom. If you're not familiar with learning stations, it's the same idea as elementary has with centers, where students either physically or mentally at least move from activity to activity. In their purest form, they are in their purest form. In their like best state, I would say, stations physically move students to different areas of the room. Sometimes, because I'm in Southern California, I'll use the outdoors, I'll use different areas of campus, depending on what types of stations I'm gonna be doing. I don't really know physically what these stations, okay, and at each station, they're gonna do a different activity, right? I don't know truly exactly what my classroom is going to look like by way of COVID protocols. So I'm in Southern California. We've got a pretty good vaccination rate right now, and I teach high school, so a lot of my students are vaccinated. We're still gonna be masked. I don't know what distancing is gonna be. I don't know what I'm gonna be comfortable with for my students being close, right? Like, I don't know exactly what it's gonna look like yet. So I'm kind of building stations that lean into the unknowing a little bit. But basically, students will be somewhat moving around my classroom because we're not gonna be virtual next year. They are going to be probably using the outdoors as long as it's not too stinking hot. But like, I'm going to give some physical movement to the space if I can. If I can't, I'll regroup. So follow me on Instagram and you can see my like rethinking things. And one thing I will not be doing, because I stopped doing this years ago and it has just done amazing. It's done wonders for my relationships with students and for our classroom community. I will not be standing at the front of the room reading their names for attendance. I'll tell you what I'll do instead if you don't already do this. I will not be going over the syllabus. I will not be going through procedures. I'm gonna let a lot of that stuff come through organically over the first 3-4 days, first week or two of class. I start on a Wednesday, then I have Tuesday and what? I think I need to get out of my pajamas because I don't make any sense. I start on a Wednesday and then we have Thursday and Friday, and then it's a full weekend, and then it's like another week and then Labor Day. I don't know. Our schedule's always kind of weird because we start in the middle of August. But Wednesday, here's what will be going on in my class. Students will go to 4 different stations. When they first come into class, what I used to do is I have this whole jar of popsicle sticks, and on the ends of the popsicle sticks are different types of washi tape, and those washi tapes are how kids get grouped, so it's totally rando on the first day. give them a popsicle stick, they go, they sit down wherever I tell them to, right? Or they sit down wherever and then I say, okay, look at your popsicle stick. If it has hamburgers on it, you're over here. If it has ice cream on it, you're over here, whatever. Don't know if I'm gonna do that this year, kind of planning on that because I feel like that's pretty benign. But once again, depending on protocols, depending on once I get in there, how comfortable I feel with students touching things, we'll see, right? Like it's their safety just as much as mine is what I'm concerned about. So I might just give them numbers or just be like, you people, you're in that corner, whatever. And while students are doing their station activities, I will be going around introducing myself and checking them off on my roster and writing in their names if it's different from what I have, like from their legal registered name. If they have a nickname, if I need help with pronunciation, students can help me and I can write things down phonetically, right? Those are those moments that you can have just a little interaction. Reminder, I have classes often in the low 40s. So yes, this is possible. And I'll probably have the kids for about 60 or 70 minutes that day because I think we're gonna do like a welcome back assembly. So it'll be an altered bell schedule. Normally I have them for 90 minutes a day. I think it'll probably be, 70, 75 maybe. We'll see. And that's, okay, so that's kind of like the how it looks. Here's what stations I'm actually going to do. When I have an opportunity for students to do stations, I try not to overdo it. I often do stations at the beginning of a unit, beginning of the year. It's a great way to just kids moving around, oriented. I've done a bunch of different types of stations. So like I said, check out that blog post for some other ideas. But I like to mix up what they're doing, like the modality that they are working in. I like to mix up their physical state when they're doing that work. I like to mix up solo versus collaborative. So the 4 stations that I am going to be doing are gonna cover 4 different things. One is gonna cover, so I have my notes in front of me so I don't go off track too badly. One is gonna cover something having to do with content, something content, English language arts related. One is going to have to do with me, their teacher, and start building that relationship if students don't already know me. This next year I'm gonna teach 11th graders and 12th graders. So a large percentage of the kiddos have had me before for 9th or 10th grade, but there's still gonna be, 60% who haven't had me before. So content, something having to do with relationship building, specifically with me, not necessarily just with each other, but with me. Procedures, something procedural or routine based for my class so that organic development of this is how things work in here starts to happen and it's not me reading off of a syllabus or whatever. And then something fun and stupid. Stupid. No, I was gonna correct myself. No, yes, something stupid. And the purpose is for fun. And there you go, and connecting with others and whatever. So the content station or something content related is going to be a reading inventory. And I have this reading inventory that's actually all of these stations are part of my membership. It's called the English Teacher Lab. So if you're a member, first of all, head over there. It's in our library of resources. If you want more information on the English Teacher Lab, we have bi-monthly live call meetings. There's a whole bank of resources that I do not sell on TPT, and a bunch of other stuff, trainings and the way that I do stuff. Check out the description or the blog post under here for more information, but just so you know. So I do a reading inventory where students fill out a Google form and it gives me information on, do they consider themselves a reader? What types of things do they like to read? And then I start to kind of like broaden into, what do you watch? What do you listen to? What do you read, right? Like different areas of consuming content. And we start looking at genres. We start looking at reading for school versus reading for fun. And that's reading, right? Reading, watching and listening is all like under the umbrella of reading. That's a Google form that they fill out at one of the stations. And when there's extra time, I like to have piles of books, or I like to have articles printed off, something that they can just browse while they're waiting for the timer to go off so that they rotate to their next station. Yeah, so like, that's just a fun little strategies. Not all of these are going to equal out in the time. These are probably gonna be 10-minute stations so that I can have a couple minutes to rotate through and then they can talk to me for a while. I mean, there's gonna be a little like, hey, welcome, this is what we're doing, right? Little intro to the beginning of class, something at the end of class. I like to just connect and hang out with kids in the first few days because that's like the best part of our jobs is hanging out with kids. So there's that. First one, content, reading inventory. Second one, get to know me a little bit. My friend Abby, who is right on with Miss G on Instagram and on TPT, has a product called Investigate Your Teacher, which I flippin' love. I love when students do Investigate Your Teacher. It asks them to use their skills of like inquiry and critical thinking to take in their surroundings and observe me and get to know me a little bit. And the students who have had me before, once, twice, some of them 3 times, for some of my seniors, I will be their only English teacher for all 4 years, which is like awesome and fun, and also kind of like, how did that happen? In a giant integrated school. Like, it's a big school and a big district. Anyways, and so they're gonna do the Investigate Your Teacher activity. The kids who don't know me, straightforward. The kids who do know me, I like to ask them other sorts of questions, or I give them an alternative sort of a thing. Or if there are only a few, I like talk to them ahead of time, and I ask them to throw red herrings at the kids who don't know me, because then like the whole activity, they're making these inferences into who I am and how I am as a teacher. And so I get the kids that really know me to like throw in red herrings, and it's really funny. And then some of the like, oh God, it's just so cute. And then I ask them like, hey, next day, there were red herrings. Which ones do you think they were? And then kids are like, wait a minute. You said that she fishes every morning before school. I think that was a red herring. And I'm like, you think? It's just funny. The third station, I can't count. Third station is something procedural or routine based. I like to have students write me an email. There is another of my friends, Jenna Copper, Dr. Jenna Copper on Instagram, and I think that's the same name of her shop in TBT. She does an email etiquette mini lesson, and I have students go through that mini lesson themselves and then write me an email. And that email has very specific prompting about things I want to know about them, about their experience in English classes, about stuff, right? So there's that. And then as those emails are coming in, I get, a couple hundred emails that day. I put them all in a folder, and I spend the next couple of weeks writing several back a day, so that then we've started a back and forth. What that does is it gives me their personal email address, because my district doesn't give students email addresses, neither here nor there. But it gives me a way to like list their emails, and I can kind of like bank them. And if I'm really smart about it, I'll like, put them all in a list per class period if I need to. And it also just opens the communication between the two of us. And I find that students are more apt to write to me a question that they forgot to ask, were awkward, felt awkward, anxious, whatever, asking me. If they have an email from me, they just click reply. And so I reply to their emails just to show them that A, I'm listening, but also B, that they've got a way to talk to me. That's my third station. Fourth station for fun. I like to have students take BuzzFeed personality quizzes. And we always talk about like, at your own discretion here, like use your filter of what's school appropriate by way of BuzzFeed quizzes. But I'll just go through and find like 10 of them that I can that can be taken in, 5 minutes, that are pretty benign, and that I can like vet and look through, and then tell students like, if you want to take a different one, that's fine. Just make sure it's school appropriate. And they take a BuzzFeed quiz, and then I have a couple questions that they can answer, either written or have them fill out a form or like a discussion post or whatever, to get students like talking to each other about what they took, if they thought that it was like kind of like, some of them are like spooky good at like, which, I don't know, Sex and the City character are you? Which would have no meaning to my students. I don't know why I said Sex and the City. It just came out like, are you a Miranda? Are you a Carrie? Inquiring minds want to know. Okay, back to the first day of school. But those personality tests are just they're a fun activity. You can put out board games for one of them, right? Like Boggle, Scrabble, have them to do like a quick game, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever is COVID friendly for where you are, and like case rates and all of that stuff. One fun, silly, but also so important for community building and for just feeling comfortable in a classroom station that's like where it's at. Students do these stations in different orders depending on where they're at the room, right? They'll start at 3, go to 4, go to 1, go to 2. And that's that. I collect things at some of the stations digitally, some of the stations physically, some of the stations I don't collect it, or I do collect it and then I do this. Oops, it fell into the ether, right? Like some of them don't matter. They're there. The activity is there for the debrief afterwards and for the moment of connection that you get to have with your whole class. Some of them are to gather an email and all of that. So those are my 4 stations that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to like really flesh them out. And like I said, I'll be putting them in the resource library in my membership, the English Teacher Lab. But there's also a blog post down below if you just want to like have more information about first day stations and what I do and that sort of a thing. The next days 2 and 3, Thursday and Friday of that first week of school, I am going to do some more content-based without preaching my syllabus. There are some activities I do on like reading, what reading is, what is a text, talking through text is listening, text is watching, text is reading, or you know, text are things that you can listen to, watch, and read. Text can also be clothing, they're art, you know, things you regard and observe. They're all sorts of different things. And then some sort of a like really specific and pointed SEL activity. Empathy interviews, I'm sure I'll do a whole video on empathy interviews at some point in time, but empathy interviews, just Google it, see what I'm talking about, are something that I'm going to incorporate somewhere in those first days and then make like a regular piece of our puzzle of class. So this video went on longer than I thought it was going to. Make sure you check out the description box or the blog post down below for the links that I've been talking about, and just if you want some more information. If you have not already started school, good luck. If you've already started school, I hope you are doing well. I hope you are surviving, and maybe some of these tips can at least help you with like next week, right? Because depending on where you are in life and career, sometimes we don't know what next week or tomorrow or next period is going to look like. So until we meet again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.